For all the focus on what the candidates are doing, on what's happening out there as they campaign and make their arguments and talk about policy, what's actually going on in these states could matter more right now. And I'll tell you what people are talking about there. Basically anything except the campaign. Check the front pages right now in these states, and you will see stories about weather, housing, today's holiday of Juneteenth. You won't see any major front page story in these key states where I'm showing you the papers about the election at all. It's almost like it hasn't begun, even as we know the parties picked their nominee and one is a felon, and there's plenty to cover and debate. It's the same pattern on local TV news in many of these states we checked. The stories are about local issues or weather, but not 2024. And monitoring TV and print news is a gauge for the people who are exposed to it, who follow some kind of news. But that's not all. I can tell you tonight, a lot of other people are just tuned out completely. There is a growing trend. This is a real thing. It's called news avoiders. There's even a whole recent book about this, Avoiding the News. This is people who've actively decided to avoid news and info for a variety of reasons. And the share of people who do this has risen to over 35% of America, according to Reuters. Can you blame them? A recent Pew report notes that about 6 in 10 American adults say they're already worn out by coverage of the campaign. Remember, this is the campaign that's coming. It hasn't really fully begun. There are studies that suggest this is not even only about politics, but that it began with COVID, when I'm sure you remember the news was constant and it was scary. And some people, after watching it for however long, weeks or months, began to tune away and say, maybe I don't need to do this regularly. And that, I'm telling you tonight, is part of the context for the Biden campaign breaking precedent to jumpstart the earliest ever presidential debate. It's next week. It's the first summer debate ever. It's an event that will break through on TV and the internet to a nation that may not even realize this is happening until it happens next Thursday. Now, there's a political context for that as well. The Biden campaign is betting they will benefit from revving up election mode earlier. There are Democrats who think that the way the Biden campaign is focused on Trump as only an autocrat could be a losing strategy, especially as voters are worried about inflation and the economy. And Biden's campaign is seeking a more direct contrast to Trump on a stage, both of them on those policies. They think that may help Biden more than this current glare that is often on Biden alone, and that memories of Trump's actual leadership or leadership failures and style may fade. As for the debating, both candidates are rusty. That's not a criticism of either of them. It's actually just true. They haven't debated in a long time. The president, of course, Biden doesn't have to debate. He basically became the party's nominee again. Trump skipped his own party's debates, figuring he'd win without them, and he did. In fact, I can just remind you, these candidates have only debated once in the last 7 years, and that was with each other. And a lot's happened since then. Now, Joe Biden has more overall experience debating, as you can see if you check the vault.
The United States economy has to be revitalized, not just for the sake of America, but for the sake of the whole world.
I do have a record of significant accomplishment. I have a track record of being able to cross over and get things done.
I have 35 years in public office. People can judge who I am.
Guess what? A lot of people died, and a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker.
A little memory lane there. Now, for Donald Trump, debates have served him, whether you like him or not. He has been effective when he has used them to go on offense, to be mean, to be even petty. But they also did not save his presidency when he had that debate against Biden.
I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there.
A little Marco,
Lion Ted.
No puppet.
It's pretty clear.
You're the puppet.
So we will have this high-stakes moment for both candidates in this very specific context I told you about, that the Biden campaign wants to start this thing earlier, which means it's not going perfectly yet for them, and that the last time these folks did face off, again, you could say Biden won the debate or the election, but whatever happened, it was on the road to Donald Trump losing, and that's when he was the incumbent. Now, we have a very special panel to start off our show tonight. I'm thrilled to tell you back on MSNBC is Abby Huntsman. You may know her as a former co-host of The View and a co-host of ours right here on MSNBC. And we are joined by Obama campaign veteran Jake Homan. Dory, welcome to both of you.
It's Good to be here. To be back.
Great to have you guys. Che, we will get to you in a moment. Abby?
That intro specifically for me. I've been home as a mom for 3 years, totally news deprived.
Yeah, you feel like that?
Fatigued.
Does it resonate?
Absolutely. And I think there's so many people out there. I remember sitting at a different studio on Al Sharpton's show, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, talking about Donald Trump and being crooked. And here we are again, running for whatever time this is. Probably he could very well win.
He could win.
You
This
know,
is,
I
well,
think-
third. This
Right.
will be his third race.
But the debate's really an interesting, because I think that debates in general don't have a tremendous impact. It's fun to watch. But I think in this case, it's going to be a little bit different. I think
Well,
the
I
stakes
noticed-
are higher for President Biden than they are for Trump.
Well, I noticed your eyes were sitting here on set together as we showed the Biden through the years, right? You see that on the one hand, he's been underestimated. He didn't just last this long and beat Donald Trump for nothing. But on the other hand, the question that he faces now is he at that level or not from the past debates he won? Because it looks different when you go back.
That's the question that a lot of people have. And as you said, we're a week away. So we're too close for anyone to pull out, because a lot of people are wondering, are both going to show up? Are they actually going to show up on
Yeah,
that
we've heard that
stage,
about
right?
people saying that about Trump.
And
yeah.
if Biden pulls out, I think there are real concerns about his mental health. Why did he show up? And if Trump pulls out, he's gaming the system, of course. But as
Well,
I said,
I don't think Biden's jumping out because they engineered this earlier. They want this badly.
But
the
they've
White
got to
House.
be so nervous, Ari, because there are moments where you do question, is he fully aware of what's going on and what he's saying? I do think that that is a concern for people.
Well, so, Che, how about that point that Abby raises, which I think is fair as well, that the memory or even for some nostalgia right now has benefited Trump. And the Biden folks think that next week they can change that, have a more direct contrast.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the idea that this nostalgia has benefited Trump, I think this is kind of a false talking point. Because if you look at it, Trump is basically where he's always been. He's about 40%, 41% of the polls. He's probably going to get 45% at the end of this whole thing. His ceiling, I would say, is 47%, which is what he got last time and still lost. Trump's number is fixed. The issue is that Biden is losing so much to independents. He's losing so much to third-party independent bids and to people who are undecided. That's really where the race is. It's between Biden and the third parties and those voters who are looking for an alternative beyond Trump and Biden. This debate allows Joe Biden to make a sale to them.